I will talk about On the Face of It. It is a very popular topic written by Susan Hill. On the Face of It, it is a play featuring an old man and a small boy meeting in the farmer's garden. Both suffer from physical impairment, but Mr. Lamb, the old man, takes life as it comes to him, while the young boy, Derry, is very withdrawn and defiant. The meeting turns out to be a boon for Derry. Mr. Lamb is able to give him hope and the ability to see the bright side of life. The first scene of the play begins in Mr. Lamb's garden. Derry, a young boy of 14, climbs over the garden wall and enters the garden. He walks in slowly and cautiously, thinking nobody is there, but is startled to hear Mr. Lamb's voice. That he tells Derry to mind the crab apples, lest he trip on them. Derry tries to explain to him that he didn't want to sneak him. He had presumed that the house was empty and he didn't expect anybody there. He appears to be scared. Mr. Lamb tries to put his fears at rest and says that the house was no doubt empty now that he was in the garden. Mr. Lamb assures him that there is nothing to be afraid of. His gates are always open and everyone is welcome. When Mr. Lamb tells Derry that there is nothing to be afraid of, Derry replies that he is not afraid but people are afraid of him. Derry is very furious because he thinks that Mr. Lamb is having pity on him. He vehemently says that he is not a poor boy. He is afraid of himself because one side of his face got burnt as acid fell on it. Mr. Lamb, seeing that the situation has become a bit heated, changes the subject. He says that he is going to make jelly out of the crab apples. However, this enrages Derry more. He tells Mr. Lamb that he has changed the subject because he is also afraid of his burnt face, just as all other people are. He says that people pretend to be sympathetic towards him but are afraid to talk about his looks because he was ugly. Mr. Lamb tells him to talk about it, but Derry has become upset. The old man says that maybe Derry's face got burned in a fire. Derry tells him that it is acid that has burnt his face. He says, "It ate my face up, it ate me up." Derry is confused at Mr. Lamb's indifference and asks him if he is not interested. Mr. Lamb replies that he is interested in everybody. There is nothing God made that doesn't interest him. He asks Derry who one green plant is called a wheat and another a flower. Mr. Lamb does not find any difference to him. It's all life. His philosophy is to celebrate life in all its forms. Mr. Lamb tells Terry that one of his legs got blown off in a war, but there is not important. When he goes out, some kids call him Lemmy Lamb. This does not bother him. He thinks that such a name suits him. Derivo says that Mr. Lamb could cover his teen leg with his trousers and none would notice it or stare. But Derry could not cover his face. According to Mr. Lamb, there are plenty of other things in the world which are important. Mr. Lamb has a positive and optimistic attitude towards life. He feels that beauty is relative and reminds Derry of beauty and the beast. There is filled with bitterness. He says that he doesn't believe in fairy tales. His face will always remain the same. He always says that no one will kiss him, but his mother will kiss him because she has to. She kisses him on the other side, on his face. Mr. Lamb tries to reason with him. He says that he should notice the beautiful things in the world and not care about his face. Derry begins to mock the idea, saying that one should think of all those people who are worse off than yourself. This may be true, but it wouldn't change his face. Derry narrates an incident which happened at the bus stop. He heard two women talk about his face. One of them said, "Look at that. That's a terrible thing. That's a face only a mother could love." He is very hurt and calls it cruel. Mr. Lamb advises him not to believe everything that he hears. To this, Derry replies this. He finds Mr. Lamb's peculiar. He further tells him that he came in the garden because he liked it, but he doesn't like being near people. Mr. Lamb starts telling him a story about a man who was afraid to die. He feared each and everything and locked himself in a room. Unfortunately, he died because a picture fell off the wall on his head. Derry laughs a lot at the story. Through this story, Mr. Lamb wanted to show Derry that one cannot hide oneself or shun society just because of some fear. One should enjoy life as it comes. It was the first part of the topic on the face of it. Later on, I will discuss about second part on the topic on the face of it. Thank you.